Hello, and welcome to another episode in the Biofuels Report podcast series, in which we discuss all things biofuels. This series is brought to you by Argus Media, a leading independent provider of energy and commodity price information. With the world increasingly turning to greener solutions and rapid developments in the market, we wanted to have a dedicated space to cover the global biofuels market, from finished fuels like ethanol and renewable diesel to renewable feedstocks and environmental credits. My name is Jamuna Gautam, Senior Market Reporter for Biofuels at Argus Media. With me today is Sarah Giam, Associate Editor of Argus Biofuels Report. In today's episode, we are going to discuss renewable diesel, sustainable aviation fuel capacity in the US, the growing demand for feedstocks, and the surge of used cooking oil imports from Asia. UCO is a popular biofuel feedstock across the world, primarily because of its lower carbon intensity score. In the US, we currently assess UCO in the US Gulf Coast, as well as in Iowa, Chicago, the Northeast, Southeast, and California. Now, with the growing interest in Asian UCO supply, we are here today to introduce our latest offering of UCO indexes in Asia, which will provide transparency in this booming market. So, Sarah, welcome to the episode. Could you please walk us through the new UCO assessments we've launched?
Sure, thanks, Jamuna. So we've just launched FOB China and FOB Strait of Malacca bulk UCO prices, which comply with the United States Environmental Protection Agency's or EPA's requirements. We are labeling it EPA-compliant UCO, and it will be a daily assessment. You'll be able to assess those prices in our Argus Biofuels and America's Biofuels report. The typical cargo size assessed is 2,500 to 5,000 tons, and we're looking at cargoes loading over 1 to 1.5 months out from the day of assessment.
Thank you for that background, Sarah. We also assess various UCO quotes in Asian markets, such as Renewable Energy Directive, Bulk FOB China, and Strait of Malacca UCO. Could you please let us know how are the new quotes different from those?
Sure, Jamila. So it was important to have separate prices from our existing RED, Bulk FOB China, and Strait of Malacca UCO quotes, as the EPA has stricter traceability requirements for each cargo sold, and therefore typically commands a premium over ISCC certified material, although prices can shift with other market conditions as well. US refineries also have better pre-treatment capabilities and can therefore take UCO with higher free fatty acid or FFA content of up to 15%, while our RED premium UCO assessment has FFA of only maximum 7%.
So will these new UCO prices be RED compliant as well?
Yep, in addition to being EPA compliant, this assessment is also RED compliant. This means US sustainable aviation fuel and renewable diesel producers could buy UCO on this specification, produce SAF and RD based on the APEC origin UCO, and then export the finished fuels into UK, for example, where there are no anti-subsidy duties for US-produced material.
Thanks, Sarah, for that background. Now, let's dive into what's actually driving this growth in UCO imports into the US. Could you please give us an overview?
Yeah, so the expansion of low carbon fuel standard programs in the US and other production incentives from the Inflation Reduction Act have supported the growth of US RD and SAF production. So US RD production capacity grew from 2 million tons in 2020 to 13 million tons in 2024 so far, and this is expected to rise further to 15 million tons per year by the end of 2024, as two major RD plants at the US West Coast are expected to achieve full rates. An announced SAF output is set to exceed 2 million tons this year and grow to more than 8 million tons per year by 2028. And what that means is the appetite for waste-based feedstocks like UCO is growing.
So, with a massive ramp up in RD production over the last 2 years, like you highlighted, what kind of UCO volume are we seeing arriving at the US ports?
So China's UCO exports to the US have surged from just under 50 tons in 2020 to 834,000 tons last year, which is close to 41% of China's total UCO sales in 2023. Export volumes are already at 306,000 tons from January to April this year, according to Global Trade Tracker data.
Interesting. With UCO's carbon intensity score, it is not a surprise that there is massive interest for procuring it both locally and now internationally. UCO is one of the most used feedstocks feedstocks and the US biofuel production if we look at EIA data, which reports UCO volumes under yellow grease. Could you please shed more light on which other Asian regions are we seeing UCO flows originating at, since we also launched the new FOB Strait of Malacca quote?
Yeah, so the combined UCO exports from Southeast Asian export origins such as Malaysia, Indonesia, and Vietnam to the US have risen from just above 500 tons in 2020 to over 50,000 tons last year. But our assessment references just FOB Strait of Malacca for now, as Malaysia is a key aggregation hub for Southeast Asian UCO.
Thanks, Sarah. And we'll probably see imports from those regions strengthen as additional RD capacity comes online this year. And on top of that, SAF is also expected to grow, and US still has a significant biodiesel production, which competes for the same feedstocks. Thank you so much for an insightful discussion, Sarah. Any parting thoughts for the audience?
Thanks to Jamuna. I would say please reach out if you might have any market indications to share or any questions or comments on this assessment.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to tune in for other episodes in our series, The Biofuels Report. For more information on Argus Biofuels coverage, please visit argusmedia.com/biofuels. See you next time.